We got a big battle in front of us, baby. And it's just started. So let's get funky like a monkey. For 16 years, the American dream has done it with you. Don't fail me now. No, don't fail me now.
The Wrestlebros are back. Here to talk a little Wrestlemania Backlash.
Yes.
Which I hate this idea and I hate this concept.
Tell us what you really think.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. But Captain Lou here, Vic Blaze, the Wrestlebros. Yeah, I kind of miss the old days where WrestleMania would come around and you would hit that reset. Right? WrestleMania would finish, all your storylines would end, or at least 90% of them would end.
In theory,
maybe one would continue, but for the most part, it would be over. And then we'd start a bunch of new stories, fresh matchups. But no, this is just WrestleMania again.
Again.
I mean, if you look at it, and we'll go one match at a time, but just to run it down real quick, Priest and Miz will be involved against each other again. Then it was Rhea Ripley and Asuka, right?
Yes.
So now they're gonna have the three-way. They just added Charlotte, and then you have Bobby and Drew, but they added Braun. I mean, do you think they're? You also have Bianca and Bayley, so that's new.
That's a new match.
Dirty Dogs versus Rey Mysterio and Dominik, so that's
not a new match. It's not. It wasn't featured at WrestleMania, but
they've done it. Yeah, but they've done it. But I'd like to see that match though. I'm sure that'll be good. Then Reigns against Cesaro, I definitely want to see that. So that's probably the match I'm looking forward to. That's the number one match I'm looking forward to. Do you think they're gonna add? I mean, I'm sure they're gonna add 2 more matches, maybe 3. What feuds do we have going on right now that they might be able to add a match? Oh, maybe AJ and
they'll probably put AJ and Omos to rematch against the New Day. You might have you might see a match with for the women's tag titles. Where you have Jackson Baszler. They'll probably defend again against Lana and Naomi. That could be another match there. I'm surprised that Seth Rollins won't be on this particular show because after Cesaro, it seems like they're still Cesaro has graduated over to Reigns, but apparently hasn't ended with Rollins. So,
which I'm okay with.
I'm okay with for now because they're going to revisit that. I'm just saying that
but Seth should always have a match.
But exactly, it kind of leaves Rollins.
He's too good.
He's the odd man out at the moment, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good look for him.
All right. So let's go match by match. How about we start with Bianca? Let's give her a little bit of spotlight here. Huge title defense against Bayley. I mean, I think I'm gonna enjoy this match. Bayley completely on top of her game. Can't go wrong. She didn't get a WrestleMania match, so I'm sure she's looking forward to this.
Well, she is getting her WrestleMania Backlash match, I guess. So
yeah, exactly. So this is to make up for it. She should lose, but I do hope they go tear the house down. I hope it's not a short match. I hope they get plenty of time. Well, and Bianca has to have these types of matches. If you're gonna put her in there with the Sashas and the Baileys, I want to see. That's the only way she's gonna get better. You got to let her go in there, and sink or swim.
I mean, listen, realistically, with Bianca Belair, although Bianca Belair is the champion and she did a fantastic job, because obviously WWE did a great job with her, building her up from the Royal Rumble all the way through WrestleMania and even through now. I think the one thing that's going to be imperative is that the WWE told the story of Bianca Belair becoming the champion, and that's something that, for the most part, the fans we can almost say universally were behind Bianca Belair in this pursuit. However, once the pursuit is over and you are the champion, then you have to reset, and you have to be able to tell stories that do two things. Number one is that for Bianca Belair as a babyface, continue to put sympathy on her, and number two, put her in there against established talents like Bayley that are going to be able to, one, be a fantastic heel and put sympathy on Bianca, but number two is that the more of these matches that Bianca has and wins, you begin establishing her as a megastar in the women's division. Now, mind you, Bianca Belair has been a fantastic talent for a very long time, and the WWE finally, pulled the trigger and made her the champion. However, she's still, and this is no shade on Bianca Belair, but she's still a notch below the Baileys, the Sashas, the Charlotte Flairs from a perception perspective, because she got the one big match against Sasha Banks. She won. She looked fantastic. Now, from a storyline perspective, she has to continue doing this. It's going to take time. For Bianca Belair, the next 6 to 12 months are going to be the establishing point for her to become the next tier megastar in the women's division. Her, Rhea Ripley, and whoever else falls behind them in that line. But for those two, but in this case, we're talking about Bianca Belair. This is more about her being able to continue to build momentum. I think that it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win this match. I don't believe that Bayley is going to win. That's not the point. The point of this match is to continue to make Bianca Belair look like a megastar, keep her looking strong, while having Bayley be able to retain her heat. And again, Bianca Belair could not have asked for a better dance partner. She got Sasha Banks at WrestleMania, and now she has Bayley coming up at Backlash. You couldn't ask for two better talents for Bianca to work with, and it's going to be a matter of continuing this progression of Bianca Belair becoming, a star in the division, having the sympathy from the audience, chasing after the title, winning the title, and now it's going to be her first defense of the title. It's going to now be continuously layering and layering and layering, because I think that probably over the next year or so, Bianca Belair is, it's going to be very much, this is her time, and it's going to be a very much sink or swim situation for her. She's got all the skills and all the talents to succeed, but it's going to be a matter of laying down the foundation. And quite frankly, you couldn't ask for a better match.
Yeah, I wonder what's next for Bianca after this match.
Well, I think that in this particular match, I don't think it's going to be a one and done. She's going to be working with Bayley for a while. That's why I don't think that this match is going to be is this match going to be as high profile as the match she had at WrestleMania? No. The answer is no, it's not. And it's that way for a reason, because you cannot have these one and done type situations, because they could do it with Sasha Banks, but understand that with Sasha Banks, they were telling the story for several months. Whether we liked it or not at certain points, I thought that having them as a tag team and having them lose matches to Jackson Baszler and all that, I thought that was stupid. But the ultimate goal was to get them to the big match at WrestleMania. But they were telling that story from even before the Royal Rumble, and then after Bianca won the Royal Rumble, that was the entire story going into WrestleMania. I think that they're going to eventually revisit Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. I just don't think it's going to happen all that soon. It's going to take a couple of months, because again, you've got to give Bianca Belair the opportunity to establish herself as the champion, so that when Sasha Banks does return, she's coming with one goal in mind. She's coming for the title. And at that point, Bianca Belair would have had, some title defenses under her belt. Hopefully the people are behind her. They're still behind her, and they believe her as the champion. So like that, when you get that rematch, the stakes are just as high as WrestleMania. So with this match with Bayley, it's not going to be that super high profile match, because it's going to be designed to give Bianca Belair a win while allowing Bayley to retain her heat, so that they can continue with this program, over the course of the next weeks and months.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that they're gonna go Carmella next once she's done with Bayley. They should really try to get Mia Yim established without the Reckoning gimmick.
I think Mia Yim is on her way.
Back to NXT.
According, again, these are all rumors. These are things that I've read. I've read online. It appears that Mia Yim is going to be on the SmackDown brand as Mia Yim. No, not none of the retribution stuff. It's going to be her as Mia Yim. I'm presuming either the exact persona she was playing on NXT or some hybrid thereof. But it seems like they're going to pit Mia Yim versus Carmella as as Mia Yim's first program on SmackDown.
Oh, so they're bringing her in as a babyface, maybe?
Apparently, I don't know. This is what I've read. It's what I've heard. But of course, everything is subject to change. So my disposition is that I'm happy seeing Mia Yim in any iteration that is not that retribution gimmick. So I think that with Mia Yim is actually a very good babyface. She would be the kind of person that if you're going to turn her heel, it's going to be to turn heel on Bianca Belair when she wants to have a chance at the title and she loses, and then she realizes if she wants the belt, she's got to hit another gear, and it can't be done as a baby, and that would be the one place where you could turn Mia Yim heel, but not yet. She's got a long way to go, and if she's just beginning on SmackDown, let her be a babyface. She's got a lot of.
Well, based on the way the roster is,
they need babyfaces.
They need everything, because after Bayley and Sasha, then you have Bianca, and then that's it. They're not really that deep. Everybody's on Raw, or on maternity leave.
Oh, well, I mean, Jackson Baszler, work on all the shows, so that's a plus. Obviously with Tamina and Natty, it's weird because they're heels unless they're working against Jackson Baszler, then they're baby faces. So this is
look, I'm totally okay with all of these people being heel and letting Bianca storm through the entire division.
Well, listen, I'm okay with that too. I would not be against that. It's only a matter of if you're going to have that happen, it's okay to do this with Bianca Belair because of the fact that, again, you're still establishing her. It's weird to say that you're still establishing her and she's the champion. It's weird to say that, but this feels like it feels like Bret Hart's first title reign in 1992 when he became the WWE champion in 1992. No one, of course, we're just coming out of the Hulkamania era, and then you had Ric Flair, Macho Man Savage. They were the champions throughout 1992. And then when you look at Bret Hart at the time was, people knew him as a tag team specialist. And yes, he was the Intercontinental Champion, the year prior. He had been the Intercontinental Champion twice at this point. But to see him as the WWE Champion, it was a real shock. And I think what the WWE did was that they put the title on him, and then they just had him beat every guy on the roster. For about a good 2 or 3 months, they had him work like every TV, beating every guy. It didn't matter who it was. It was just to give him wins on television so that people can believe him as the champion. And I think they're going to have to do something similar with Bianca Belair, to kind of establish her as the champion. Again, all the talent in the world, and she's going to succeed. It's just a matter that, there's still some work to do with her.
All right, how about we go to the other women's match? Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair in a triple threat. I don't even know what to think of this. I'm assuming Asuka's just here to get pinned. Didn't Asuka just lose?
Yeah.
Like recently? Wasn't there like a match? How did this become a triple threat?
The way that this match became a triple threat was essentially is that after WrestleMania, Charlotte Flair comes out, and she cuts a promo and basically saying, okay, no more goody two shoes. I'm going after the title. Rhea Ripley being the champion, she's got no back down. That's great. The problem is this. When Rhea Ripley came on Raw, and again, this is the ass backwards booking that WWE has been doing with the Raw Women's Championship. This very specific to this program. I get that at WrestleMania, the match that they wanted was to have the triple threat match that we're getting now at Backlash. That's what they wanted. Charlotte Flair went down. Apparently, there was something to do with COVID, and then there was a pregnancy scare. So that basically wiped her out of WrestleMania. With Rhea Ripley, they bring her in. Literally, they had her on ice for what felt like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Had her on ice, and I'm like, why are you going to do this? You might as well, after the Royal Rumble where she was the runner-up, you could have easily debuted her on Raw that week or the week after, have her cut promos and say, why she was hot about losing at WrestleMania, or excuse me, not losing at WrestleMania, but losing at the Royal Rumble, and saying, hey, she may not get the champion of choice, but she's here on Raw and she wants the Raw Women's title. Boom, done. Establish that program so that in the case that you would get either the singles match with Charlotte and Asuka or the triple threat match, it made sense to have all three of them in there. The thing that annoys me about this program, and again, it has nothing to do with either one of these talents, they're all fantastic. The problem is that even when Asuka was the Raw Women's Champion, prior to WrestleMania, she was being very much de-emphasized because she was in tag team matches with either Charlotte Flair and or Rhea Ripley in different situations. She was the babyface in peril, and at times she was losing. You're the champion. If you're the champion, you should never lose a single match on TV prior to the big match at the big show. That's WrestleMania. If you can't book it, that meaning WWE, if you can't book it right, then damn it, don't book it at all. Just don't. Because what ended up happening was, unfortunately, is that, again, not Rhea Ripley's fault, not Asuka's fault. It's just a matter that they were booked into a match at WrestleMania that could have had a lot of steam and a lot of eyes and tension on it. And unfortunately, it just fell flat. The match at WrestleMania between the two of them was a little awkward and a little choppy at times. The finish felt flat, and Rhea Ripley, a huge moment for Rhea Ripley, it fell flat. It felt completely flat for her. And I felt bad for her because this is, the way that we all felt about Bianca Belair beating Sasha Banks, we should have felt the same way about Rhea Ripley beating Asuka and becoming the Raw Women's Champion. Unfortunately, the perception says that it's not. We put Charlotte Flair in there because, of course, Charlotte is Charlotte. And listen, Charlotte is a fantastic talent, and she deserves to be at or near the top of the card at all times. However, the thing that bothers me is that Asuka's being de-emphasized. Rhea Ripley, although she's the champion, we're looking through her, and this is all about Charlotte. And it's because Charlotte is the biggest star. She commands the most attention, and at this particular point, her persona is the strongest of the three. And in a match like this, the thing that I would like to see is that I would actually like to see Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte, but utilize Asuka in such a way that Asuka gives the assist. Because again, Charlotte needs an out. Because what are you doing? You want to establish Rhea Ripley as the champion. You want her to look strong, but you want her to look like she escaped. That's the point of a triple threat match, that people can lose and nobody has to lose flat. But utilize Asuka as the assist, as giving the assist to Rhea Ripley unintentionally so that she can beat Charlotte. Charlotte can be pissed off about losing to Rhea Ripley. Rhea then can be as the champion, can utilize that and say, Charlotte, I beat you. Charlotte can then go on a rampage and beat the piss out of every single woman on the roster and then we can work towards a Charlotte Rhea Ripley one-on-one match. And then whatever comes out of that comes out of that. But I think that realistically, the person that should take the fall here is Charlotte Flair, with the assist of Asuka, and Rhea Ripley goes home with the title. Kind sir.
This story is it's been done so poorly that I don't even care anymore.
And you know what? And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Rhea and Charlotte to finally have a one-on-one match. But let me explain why I didn't notice. I wasn't paying that much attention, right? Because they haven't kept my attention. But let me try to figure this out.
Okay.
So if you're looking at Charlotte's trajectory towards this match, you have Asuka defeating Charlotte. Then Charlotte gets a win on TV against Mandy Rose and a win on TV against Dana. And then Asuka, Dana, and Mandy beat Charlotte, Nia, and Shayna.
Who took the fall? As long as Charlotte didn't take the fall, it doesn't matter.
Yes, I know that. But if this was real and I was trying to put together a match and justify giving Charlotte the title shot,
I wouldn't do that. No, definitely not.
There is no way, based on what she's done recently, because she lost to Asuka. She already lost to Asuka a couple weeks ago. So why is she in this match? Okay. But then look at Asuka. So
Asuka got beat by Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, so why should she get a rematch?
Exactly. Well, they can always have the Asuka was a champion and we're just giving her the rematch. That's fine. Okay, I'm cool with that. Even in real life, I'm cool with the let's run it back.
The former champion getting a rematch.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Not all the time. I don't want that to be automatic, but if it makes sense, it makes sense. Rhea Ripley comes out of nowhere. That wasn't even going to probably be the real match that we're going to have. Probably we can say it was a fluke, right? Okay, Asuka goes, let me get another match. The next night, they had another match on Raw. It went to a no contest. Okay, that's fine. That justifies another match. After that, Asuka beat Charlotte. Okay, that justifies a match for Asuka.
With Rhea Ripley's interference.
Yes. And it eliminates Charlotte if this were real, but fine, whatever. Then
it would eliminate Charlotte Flair if it was a flat finish. With Rhea Ripley getting involved, that's the caveat.
Yes, I totally get that. But here's the big one. Rhea Ripley defeats Asuka on television. Asuka does not deserve a match. Why is Asuka in this match? Why are they both in this match? And then this is the worst part. One of them is gonna lose again. And I'm gonna assume, they can do what you did. What you said, and let her pin Charlotte. But she wins the match and she tells them both, y'all out of here. Y'all both have had way too many opportunities. I'm moving on. And then Charlotte, as a heel, can do what she has to do to get the one-on-one opportunity. So, whatever. I'm assuming that's how they're going to go. Whether Charlotte gets pinned or not, Rhea has to be like, screw you guys. I am done with y'all.
I'll say, see, the reason why I would like to see Charlotte get pinned is, one is because I've already seen enough of Asuka losing, number one.
Yeah.
Number two is that to have Charlotte Flair get pinned, and again, it has to be done in a screw job type finish. In other words, you have to give Charlotte Flair enough of an out to when she cuts her promo, she's basically saying, she would tell Rhea Ripley, you can't beat me. You had Asuka's help. Although we know that that's BS, but of course, when you're a heel, what do? You embellish. And realistically, it's every woman for herself. It is technically it's 1-on-2, but it's 1-on-2 for everybody. So it's not like, it's not a handicap match by any stretch. But if Charlotte gets beat, she can use that as her excuse. And then she could basically petition for a rematch 1-on-1. Rhea Ripley can kind of be a little bit of an asshole here and saying no, she wants to move on, right? Unfortunately, the reality is that there ain't a whole lot behind that. Like once you get past Charlotte Flair and Asuka, are there that many big money matches for Rhea Ripley on Raw at the moment? Not really.
I mean, you can make it happen on
You
Raw.
can make it happen. But what I'm saying is that when you take a look at it on paper, would there be anybody who you'd be interested in seeing her wrestle one-on-one outside of those two? I mean, that's on Raw. We're not talking about Sasha Banks. We're not talking about Bayley. We're just talking about the women on the Raw side.
Rhea Ripley, she's a babyface, right? Kind of. We're not sure yet.
Here's the thing. I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's the reason why I don't like it being a tweener for her, because again, her look, right? Everything about her look, you can basically call it. She looks like a heel, right? She looks like a badass.
Yes, but
Charlotte Flair is the established heel, so that in essence makes her a babyface.
Yeah, but also Rhea Ripley is also cool looking, even though she's a heel. She's like a cool looking. I mean, even though she looks like a heel, she looks like a cool looking heel. Which makes her an even cooler babyface.
Everything about her screams, big time, right? It's just, again, at the end of the day, one of the reasons why it's her transition to Raw has been frustrating is because all the things that have to be done, like we have to establish who she is. When she comes out for the very first time on Raw, she's confronting the babyface champion. Babyfaces don't confront other babyfaces. They just don't. That's a heel thing to do. But yet, when she's working with Charlotte Flair, Charlotte's the established heel, so by proxy, she's the babyface. So I'm like, okay, it's confusing because you don't want Rhea Ripley to be a tweener because you've got to establish her one way or the other. You got to do it. Like at some point, you got to pull the trigger and say, all right, either she's on the light side of the force or the dark side of the force, but we can't have her in the middle. Because unfortunately, what's going to happen in that gray area is that you might end up losing some of the really good parts of Rhea Ripley that could be fantastic and a huge success for her, because you're trying to straddle in the middle. And I'm like, no, I don't care if she's a heel or a babyface, but you have got to put her on one side of the aisle and make that very clear where she stands. It's gonna be heavily beneficial for her.
Yeah, I think they're about to do that. I think we're probably gonna see. I also wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte pins Asuka and got the title.
That would be terrible. Oh goodness, no. I hope not.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it, except that Charlotte would then be a 25-time champ, and I don't necessarily want to see that.
Well, I mean, listen. Understand something, right? In terms of title reigns and all that jazz, I get it, right? I get it. Charlotte's been champion at least 10 or 12 times at this point. It's a lot. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say that the title reigns don't matter, because they do. That means that the company has a lot of faith in you. Do I think that Charlotte Flair needs to be the champion? At this point, absolutely not. If you've put the title on Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley needs to stay the champion, because if you take the belt off her in this screw job way, you're basically cutting the legs right out from under her. And
I don't think so. I think it's the same thing I want to happen with Drew and Bobby, where Bobby beat Drew, even though Drew had just pretty much won the title and had already lost it before that.
Again, you remember what the thing is? I'm totally cool with Bobby Lashley being the WWE champion. Totally cool with it. I couldn't be happier. The only two things that I thought WWE has done wrong is, number one, breaking up the Hurt Business. That was the wrong thing to do. Number two is having Lashley be the champion going into WrestleMania. Again, Drew McIntyre was a guy that was crazy momentum. The fans are all behind him. He looks like $1 million. The fact that he had already lost the title 2 times, he lost it to Orton after having wrestled him what felt like 50 times, and Orton finally beat him, and then losing to The Miz. And again, no shade on The Miz. He's a fantastic talent, but there are levels. And when you look at the perception of who The Miz is, perception-wise, in the ring against what Drew McIntyre looks like perception-wise, there's no reason that The Miz and Drew McIntyre should ever be in the ring at the same time for the WWE title. And the result is Miz wins the title. If they would have wrestled 100 times, Drew McIntyre should win 101 times. With all due respect to The Miz. Like, it just is what it is from a perception perspective. And had McIntyre gone into WrestleMania as the champion, not having lost, and you could say that, hey, Drew McIntyre hasn't lost a match since he beat Randy Orton last year, whatever, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, whatever it's been. And it's Drew McIntyre and then Bobby Lashley. Something's got to give. And at that point, that's when Lashley beats McIntyre. And then it's like, ooh, finally Drew gets beat. But, again, the way that they did the booking, they wanted to pay off the Money in the Bank. They put the title on The Miz. And I was like, no, garbage, not good. Because you put the belt on Lashley, he beats The Miz with all due respect. Did we think it was going to be any other result? No, absolutely not. So it's again, I think that the way that I'm describing this for Drew McIntyre is kind of the way that I feel with Rhea Ripley. Right now, they put her in a bad situation. She had to step in a tight spot where she probably wasn't supposed to be to begin with. So kind of let her run with the title and don't take it away from her. If you're going to have her lose in a way that she can lose to Charlotte Flair. This time, Charlotte has to cheat to beat her. It's not like a WrestleMania, a year plus ago, where Charlotte Flair made her tap out. You can say that was inexperience. This time around, Rhea Ripley has her number, and Charlotte realizes it. She cheats, takes the title, and then we go to the merry-go-round to where we finally get that big one-on-one match where Rhea Ripley beats Charlotte Flair and gets the confetti moment where she becomes the champion, and we can all get teary-eyed watching her win the title.
All right. Well, you were talking about The Miz, so we got Miz.
Great transition, Luke. Great transition.
Miz against Damian Priest in a lumberjack match. I don't know if lumberjacks are going to make this match better.
Oh, God. I don't think so either.
I have not been impressed with Damian Priest matches. I'm just not impressed by this guy. I'm sorry. He got the rub from Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny's gone. So I think he's not gone yet. Anything can happen. He can turn it around, but I really don't care. I really don't care about Damian Priest.
And listen, I feel you, dude. I get it. I feel you. I like Damian Priest. I'm a big fan of his. However, I understand where you're coming from because you're not wrong. The big problem is with a guy like Damian Priest, when you're 6'5" and 250 pounds and you look like a rock star, I'm sorry, you need to be on the heel side of the bracket. Only because, as a babyface, again, no disrespect to The Miz, but when you look at Damian Priest, how the hell are you going to feel any sympathy for a guy that looks like that? You could beat his ass and you feel no sympathy because you're looking at it and thinking like, what is The Miz supposed to do? He's good. He's going to need Morrison to cheat. And obviously the lumberjacks are there to, I guess, for lack of a better term, neutralize that. But we know how lumberjack matches work. Lumberjack matches, the heel guys will protect the heel. The babyface guys will kind of be, they'll be fair, right? They're there to do their job. They'll just, they'll rough up the heel when he tries to run away. And when the babyface gets thrown out, they'll gently put him back in the ring. Then there'll be a spot where the lumberjacks, they get into a schmaz, and then it's the same thing. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's what a lumberjack match is. But again, do I think that this works? I agree with you, man. It doesn't. Damian Priest either, and I'm really hoping. I mean, I think that Aleister Black being on SmackDown, I wish that Aleister were on Raw, only because I think that would be an opponent that can actually bring out the best in Damian Priest from a character perspective, and I think from a work perspective. But the Miz is just, I don't know, dude. I just look at the Miz, and again, I always have to preface this in saying no shade to the Miz, but it's just from a perception perspective. Nobody's taking him seriously, and it's not. And these wins mean nothing because again, how many times has Damian Priest beat Miz and Morrison? Has beaten them up, left them flat, left them laying, week after week after week. Why are we revisiting this except for the sake of having a match? It's just at some point you got to move him on. And again, I'm pulling for Priest. I'm a fan of his, and I want him to succeed. But I agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. Where you're just completely disinterested.
Also, why haven't we found another story? It's like they had the match at Mania. That should have ended it right there because Bad Bunny was going to leave the situation. But okay, let's keep it going. So yes, they had Morrison and Miz defeat Damian Priest in a handicap match, which I do not want one guy beating up two wrestlers who are supposed to be professional fighters.
Correct.
Get top stars. If you're a professional fighter that works for the WWE, right?
I get it. All things being equal, 2 beats 1 every time.
2 beats 1 every time. Doesn't matter how big you are. Then you get Damian Priest defeats the Miz on Raw. Damian Priest and the New Day defeat the Miz, Elias, and Jackson Riker. Damian Priest defeats John Morrison. Then he beats John Morrison again. Now he's gonna probably beat the Miz again, or maybe not. Maybe the Miz, because of the Lumberjacks and John Morrison, gets a win, and then Priest will finally get the final win on the Raw after. It's like, I don't need 20 matches between Damian Priest and the Miz.
I mean, listen, this is one of those things where, again, I want
to put the Miz. I want to figure this out for the Miz.
Well, listen,
I think I can make it good.
Listen, I think with the Miz, and here's the thing, right? Miz has been with the WWE again. He's been with the WWE for 16 years. He's been there for a long time. People need to put respect on his name. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. He's a fantastic talent. The thing is for him is that, and I say this with all due respect, is I'm a fan, but when I watch it, the Miz is he doesn't come across to me as a professional fighter. He comes across to me as an entertainer. And the thing about it is that when you're an entertainer and you're stepping into the ring with a guy who looks like a legitimate badass, the matches should not be as competitive as they are. It has to be Damian Priest kicking the Miz's ass for 80% of the match. And when the Miz does get his bit of offense, it's because he's shrewd, he cheats. He's able to find a weakness in Damian Priest because, again, the weaknesses in Damian Priest are not meant to expose him, but they're meant to leave little crumbs to where when he gets into the ring against somebody who can expose them, then little by little, if people are paying attention, they can follow those crumbs. But the fact that these matches you seem to be 50-50, 60-40 at worst, it does nothing for either guy because, again, the Miz is the Miz. He's not going up the card. He's not going any further down the card. He is where he is. But a guy like Damian Priest, if he has quote unquote flat performances at this stage of the game, it ain't helping him one iota. He needs to have dominant performances this weekend in order for him to get out of this. He needs to beat the Miz's ass. He needs to leave him laying. It has to basically prove some sort of physical dominance. Forget about Miz and Morrison and protecting them and protecting their gimmick. Baloney. Those guys, especially the Miz, is Teflon in the WWE. He's not. As long as he's there, he's always going to be around. This is a matter of elevating Damian Priest, and they need to start doing it very, very quickly. Because again, you're right. Without Bad Bunny, Damian Priest versus the Miz, wah. We can miss it. Nobody cares.
All right, the Dirty Dogs versus Rey Mysterio and Dominik Mysterio for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I'm interested in this. and I will tell you why.
Okay, go for it.
There is great potential for a awesome storyline with Ray and his son. And step one is I want to see all these milestones with Ray and his son before Ray probably doesn't need to retire, and he probably has no plans on retiring because he's in the best shape that he's been in 15, 20
and
years.
He's working less than he's ever had. So he's
he's still great. So it's like,
well, absolutely.
He doesn't need to retire, but I need the seeds planted because that mask needs to go to his son. And that is the end of the story. You
remember we discussed this months ago.
This is step one. I want to see milestones with Ray and Dominik. Tag team titles, that's a great little notch right there. That's a great
absolutely. Father-son tag team champion.
Yeah. That's a great little thing to do. Leading to eventually some sort of passing of the torch where Ray's gonna pass the mask to Dominik, and Dominik could call himself Prince Mysterio or King Mysterio or whatever. However you want.
He's not going to call himself King Mysterio because Rey Mysterio is exactly that.
But if he's retiring, he has to pass on the torch. He has to pass it. Although Prince Mysterio sounds fire, so
I will say this. I don't know whether or not, and again, I agree with you. Yes, eventually, I think that the end of this story is going to be that Dominik beats Ray, and then Ray hands over the mask to his son. And the thing is that I don't know if the WWE would be willing to let Ray take the mask off and expose his face on WWE TV as part of a storyline. Although wrestling fans, if you've watched wrestling in WCW in the 90s, Rey Mysterio already lost the mask, so he wrestled for a certain period of time, a year and a half, 2 years without the mask. So we know what Rey Mysterio looks like without the hood. Do I think that that's going to be the end of the story? Yes. That's when Rey Mysterio retires and he hands over the mask and the name over to his son. That would be beautiful. That is basically the tradition of Mexican lucha libre, just done differently.
Yeah.
Because the wrestler would the retired wrestler would hand over the name and the mask to son, nephew, whomever the next generation is, but they don't reveal their face. So it would be that he wrestles against Dominik beats him, and it's for Rey Mysterio's mask. Mm-hmm. And if he's like, if I'm going to lose my mask, if I want to hand it over to anybody, it's to my own kid.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't have to force that hand. You can tell that story 5-6 different ways. You can definitely go where Ray goes, oh, it could be playful. It could be because this is not going to be a feud. This is This is a passing of the torch. Grab the pebble from my hand, grasshopper.
Yep.
This is a father-son, legitimate father-son. Ray wants to see if his son has finally gotten to his level. And Ray doesn't have to tell him that he's going to give him the mask. You can do it where Dominik, they could play around. Oh, yeah, I can beat you. As a matter of fact, how about you put your mask on the line? And it could be playful like that. Or it could be a complete surprise where Ray goes, oh, yeah, sure. You're not on my level, kid. I'm still your father. I taught you everything you know, but not everything I know. All those little tropes that we're used to seeing in every movie. And then when Dominik catches him and, whatever, right there, Ray could go, you know what? Take off his mask, not say a word. And I'm sure that'll be so damn emotional that we will all know what the hell is going on.
Oh,
when he starts slowly, pulling off the mask, and he hands it over. Woo! Woo! I hope they do it, because at the end of the day, Rey Mysterio won't be around for forever.
No, he won't.
You can always make a slight variation so that we know maybe they just change this part and keep the aesthetic and keep the feel, but add something unique.
That's for Dominik. Yep,
and you still keep it's the same mask, but it's not, and you sell both. If they're worried about merch, that's Rey Mysterio mask is iconic. Everybody's gonna buy it still forever for years to come, even if we see his face.
It'll be selling in perpetuity.
And then Dominik's mask is gonna also sell because let me tell you, Dominik is good.
Yes,
he is good. And at the end of the day, a story like this, these are the types of stories that get people to the beyond next level. Moments like this get you over for real because you get that emotional connection. When a fan cries for you, it's over.
Oh,
that fan is yours forever. And once Dominik is that kind of over, forget about it. Those masks are gonna be flying off the shelf.
Oh yeah,
he's got the in-ring to back it up. So that's why I'm curious. I want to see them win. I want to see this keep leading to more stuff, more cool stuff. Whatever. If they want to be in each other's corners once they're done with the tag titles, and maybe they want to go after an IC title or US title or a cruiserweight title, whatever they want to go after, where the other one is kind of in the manager role.
Rey Mysterio will be Dominik's coach, manager.
Yeah. And then Dominik probably jokingly says the wrong thing in the joking way.
Raises the ire.
Yeah, I got one more left in me, and I don't think you're ready for this. So I do want to see that. I'm very excited to see that, even if it takes another 5 years.
Well, it's not going to take that long. It's not going to take that long.
It needs to happen. Please.
Yeah, it's not going to take that long. Listen, I love Rey Mysterio. He's one of my favorites, but I don't think he's got that much. I don't think he's got that much time left in him. Yeah, I don't think he does.
All right, let's move on. Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus Strowman. Now, whenever you force a triple threat, WWE uses it the way they've been using it the same way for a long time, which is one of these guys is in there to get pinned. You want to protect two guys and you're willing to pin the third. I'm gonna guess that somebody's pinning Braun. And that's why I kind of don't like I don't like triple threats that much, because I feel like it's obvious who's gonna get pinned and who's gonna win sometimes. I don't think they're gonna do that in the. Actually, I do. My prediction is Charlotte's gonna pin Asuka, and my prediction here is that Bobby's gonna pin Braun.
Okay, well, I mean, I can go with you on the second one. I can go with you on the second one. Would I like to see Braun Strowman, maybe pull off an upset and win? Sure. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
You know what? I'd be okay with that. You know why? I'm not a huge Braun fan right now, but I feel like Raw is so bad. I'm saying fuck it. Let's just go crazy. Wild West.
Why not?
Changes. Right? Bring people from the past to whoever you can find, surprises. You got to bring all this shit. Because it's a very boring show that it feels like you're watching the same show over and over and over. At least SmackDown has the Cesaro storyline where he's kind of emerging.
They got variety. SmackDown's a better show.
Yeah,
it's a better show.
Roman stuff is usually really good. So, it's just, you get more. And then you have Sasha, Bayley. We're following Bianca's journey. We have things to look forward to. Where I feel like on SmackDown, on Raw, I'm just either disappointed or I'm done with whatever story they're trying to tell with certain people. I'm done. So, fuck it. Hey, they want to put it on Braun. Screw it.
Well, I mean, listen. I think that with Strowman, Strowman is just a weird cat for me, because obviously the WWE, I think, missed a window with Strowman several years back when he got really hot, and they didn't put the title on him and beating Brock Lesnar. So at that point, they kind of took they kind of killed his momentum. And again, a guy like Strowman, listen, God bless him. He's a big man. He's gotten himself in a just fantastic shape. He looks amazing. But at the same time, it's like guys like that, they got short windows. Meaning, if you got the chance to get them over, get them over. You know, if he would have beaten Lesnar, I think it was in 2017 or whatever year it was, who cares? Let him do it. Because guess what? If he would have beaten Lesnar when the fans loved it and they were all behind Strowman, eventually Lesnar would be able to beat him. They can get sympathy, and then from here, he could say he's a former champion, blah blah blah. He's got a lot more credibility behind him. This match feels like it's pigeonholed again. I don't think that Drew McIntyre should be in this match. This should be a one-on-one match between Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. Again, when Drew McIntyre came into WrestleMania as the challenger, and Bobby Lashley beat him, and Lashley did not cheat. He beat him with the Hurt Lock. That essentially means that now Drew McIntyre falls from the number one challenger position, and he falls down the totem pole a little bit. What ends up happening? The Raw after WrestleMania, he wins a triple threat match against Randy Orton and Braun Strowman, and now he's once again is the number one contender for the WWE title. Okay, so what's up? Like, really? Braun Strowman could have easily got over in a one-on-one match against Randy Orton. You can start building him up. You basically have every time Bobby Lashley tries to get at Strowman, Strowman gets the better of Lashley. Again, everything is building towards the match. It's not that Lashley can't handle Strowman. It's a matter that you've already built Lashley. You've built him as this mega champion, mega star, right? This is where if you had Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander at your disposal, you could basically have Braun Strowman toss them around. And then when he's about to get his hands on Lashley, MVP yanks him out. No, MVP's like, no, don't get in, don't get in, don't get in. It's okay. But the thing is that once you take away Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, that's a piece of the Hurt business that is critical to telling Bobby Lashley's stories. It's critical.
I still cannot believe it. And then they had Shelton
beat Cedric on Raw.
Cedric.
Let's come on. Let's not discuss this, because then I'm going to go off on a tangent and I'm going to get really mad.
Finish your thought.
But what I'm saying is that realistically, Braun Strowman should be having this match one-on-one against Bobby Lashley with the intent that we've made Strowman. Listen, Strowman has momentum. He whooped Shane McMahon's ass. He's beaten Elias and Jackson Riker. He's been beating every single thing that's been put in front of him. He's mowed it down. All of it. Wonderful. You're telling the story towards the WWE Championship match against Bobby Lashley. If the Hurt Business were still together, the Hurt Business were still in business, Braun Strowman could be whooping Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander's behinds every week on Raw, telling the story to where Strowman looks like he's indestructible, to the point where even Lashley and MVP have doubt a little bit, where you could see that MVP's like, holy crap, what's happening here? And then even Lashley, underneath the facade, you can tell is like, all right, there's a little bit of doubt here. He's like, damn, what's going to happen? Drew should not be in this match. Again, you need to rebuild Drew McIntyre and tell a story building him back up to eventually get a rematch against Lashley. The story's simple. Lashley beat Drew McIntyre fair and square. McIntyre wants a rematch. Lashley and MVP, as the heels, tell him to go piss up a rope. No, they don't want to give him a match. And they don't have to, because Lashley beat him. So then you have to tell the story of Drew McIntyre working his way back. And yeah, it might seem boring because there may not be all these talents that you don't have a litany of guys to put in front of him. Sorry, WWE, that's your fault. That's your fault. But realistically, Drew McIntyre should not be in this match, because the whole thing is you want to build Bobby Lashley. And if you know that Drew McIntyre is the guy that's going to beat him, and Drew McIntyre is going to be the guy that's going to put Lashley down, well, then, damn it, what you need to do is you need to let Lashley beat people and dominate. And then you have Drew McIntyre working his way back to where McIntyre can make a case for himself that says, yes, Lashley beat me at WrestleMania. He beat me fair and square. But I've worked my way back. I want a rematch. Lashley and MVP tell him, nope, no thank you. We're not good. Now we don't need the match. You can basically start telling that Drew McIntyre beats everybody, doesn't lose a single match, dominates the vast majority of his matches, while MVP is watching. Because everything is based on Drew McIntyre tells MVP, tell your man I'm coming for him. I'm coming for the title. And Drew McIntyre's left nothing but strong bodies all up and down on his way. And he's looking at MVP telling him, I'm coming for Lashley. Tell your man I'm coming for the title. At some point, MVP being the representative, he's the one who shows fear. Not Lashley. MVP shows fear because he knows what's coming. And then you have Bobby Lashley defending the title against guys who are the number 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, down the totem pole. But eventually, you get the SummerSlam. That's your match against McIntyre. Then McIntyre wins the title. Then if the WWE works out a deal, let's just say they reasonably work out a deal with Brock Lesnar to bring him back, there's your match for the Survivor Series. Damn it, it's not that freaking hard. They're jumbling everything all together, and what they're doing is that they're blowing through matches, number one. Number two is that they're not positioning their talents in the best possible places. Drew is not a made man. He's not. That's the reason why losing the title as many times as he did and not being the champion coming into WrestleMania was a problem. Bobby Lashley is on his way to being a made man because over the last 8 months, 10 months, WWE has done a fantastic job with him. And Braun Strowman is certainly not a made man because all the starts and stops they have with him. They just can't figure it out. I gave you the main event. It's not that damn hard. It's really not. But McIntyre shouldn't be in this match. And I love Drew, but he shouldn't be in this match.
Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't be in this match.
Thanks for the info there, Vic.
Okay. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. A very interesting one, but this is what Raw needs to pay attention to. I don't know if it's the same people working on both shows, but I know this was one of Danny Bryan's goals, was to elevate guys. Well, he helped elevate Cesaro, and Cesaro is probably not going to win this match. We are assuming that something big is going to happen with Roman very soon, so he's probably going to be the champion for a long time. But we've gotten Cesaro ready. He is believable, right? And we are curious. We want to see Cesaro in a main event type match. We want to see what we believe he can do, right? We all talk about Cesaro. This guy should be a top guy. He should be in main event matches at least every now and then. Not all the time, but every now and then he should be able to get opportunities just like this one. We've been waiting for this for years. This is interesting. This is good. You take a guy, you build him up as best you can, right? And then when it's his turn, he's ready. He's probably going to lose, and maybe they'll get 2 matches out of it, and that's fine. But this is a spotlight match for Cesaro. It's a dream come true for me. Right, I've been waiting for something like this. I feel like I've said it 50 times. You got a guy like that who might be a top 5 worker in the world, arguably, depending on what style of wrestling you like, But to me, he's perfect. He's the perfect like in-ring competitor. This is exactly what you want to see. Imagine Bret Hart but 6'5" and shredded, like with a giant wide back and super athletic. That's what I see when I see a guy like Cesaro. Like it's like what else do you want? So I'm just excited for Cesaro. I'm excited. I hope he gets more opportunities against other top guys, um, in main event situations where he's gonna get enough time. Because it's not enough to put him in there against AJ Styles and then you give him 12 minutes. Like that'll be great, but it's not what I imagine this is gonna be. And this is probably gonna be a 20-minute match. There's probably the energy is probably gonna be through the roof. Is this gonna be? They're not gonna have a crowd, but you can still feel it. It'll still be good enough. You'll feel it through the TV. You'll still feel the energy, the electricity. It's still Roman at the top of his game against Cesaro at the top of his game. So I'm just hyped, man. I'm pumped. It's something I'm looking forward to. So
Listen, this is exactly what is good about the WWE when they get it right. Now, Cesaro's been in the WWE for 10 years at the very least. And he's a guy that we've all said, hey, listen, man, he's top shelf talent. It's just a matter that he hasn't had the opportunity to be portrayed that way. And yes, Cesaro may not have the personality that Claudio Castagnoli does off camera, but if we're able to bring a little bit more of that and not have him do scripted promos, but just let him speak from the hip, speak from the heart, he might be able to get himself over. Now, from a wrestling perspective, I mean, listen, Cesaro, the program that he worked against Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania was outstanding because of the fact that, Seth Rollins, an established, main event superstar on WWE TV for the better part of the last half decade, was very, very instrumental in helping Cesaro finally, and I hate saying break through the glass ceiling because he's such a damn good talent, but it appears that that match at WrestleMania opened a lot of eyes, and they're like, okay, we can move Cesaro up to the next level. Duh, should have been done a long time ago, but fine, better late than never. But this match with Roman Reigns, do I think it's going to be a fantastic match? First off, everything, I shouldn't say everything, the vast majority of the things that Roman Reigns has done over the better part since he's come back last summer has been off the charts spectacular. With a few exceptions here and there, but for the most part, everything is it's brilliant. It's going to be great because, again, the way that they're telling this story is that, Cesaro wanted the match with Reigns. Reigns looked him right in the eye and said, no, you're not good enough. Reigns offered the match to Bryan. Bryan took it. Bryan lost. He's gone from SmackDown, and I guess for the time being, the WWE, and hopefully they come to terms on a new contract. But now then Cesaro comes to help Bryan when the heels wanted to get extra. The heels got to him. They punked him out. Then Cesaro gets a receipt on Jimmy Uso, and it appears that now Jey Uso is back, and now you got that wrinkle to the story where it appears that Jey Uso looks like he's going to be a babyface, and I think that that's all BS. Eventually, he's going to fall in line, and the Usos are going to be they're going to be with Roman Reigns as a trio, and that's going to be great because it's just going to solidify Roman Reigns' position that much more. And again, it's going to give Cesaro an out. It's going to make Cesaro look, and again, part of this depends on how he sells it. Because again, Cesaro's going to have to sell this to get the sympathy from the audience. Because although the audience is with him and they're happy to see him get this opportunity, at the same time, it's not just the X's and O's wrestling part that has to be done, flawlessly. We know he can do it. It's a matter of the selling. It's a matter of being able to tell a story at a different level than just the X's and O's of the in-ring, and I have all the confidence in the world that he can pull that off. But this is an opportunity for Cesaro that he's worked awfully hard to get. And my fear is that if this does not go like flawlessly perfect, we may not see him in the main event again. And that would be a damn shame. So that's the reason why I'm really pulling for this match. Again, do I think Cesaro's going to win the title? No, I don't. He's not winning the title. That's not the point. The point of this is to get him over as a sympathetic babyface, top tier star. That's the goal of this match. I have all the confidence in the world that Cesaro and Roman Reigns can pull it off. It's just a matter that my concern is that if there's any hiccups or if the match doesn't feel like a big deal, we won't be seeing Cesaro on the main event anytime soon after that. That's my only fear. And that would be a shame because Cesaro is so good.
Yeah, I have very little concerns. But before we get out of here, I want to give you, because to me, this is a big deal. How did we get Cesaro to this moment, right? So it's probably been longer, but in his last 10 appearances, dating back to February 5th,
okay,
that's 3 months. All right. It also, to me, I know he was working with Daniel a lot, but he defeated Daniel.
Yes, he did on SmackDown. Yep.
SmackDown. All right.
Excellent match. Excellent match.
Then we went to the Elimination Chamber, and it was Cesaro and Daniel Bryan defeated Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode. All right. So already you see Daniel Bryan trying to give Cesaro the rub. Then you had Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, and Kevin Owens defeating Jey Uso, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn. Then you had that number one contendership match that Daniel Bryan won, where Cesaro kind of had a standout performance. Cesaro then he defeated Murphy twice. Then he defeated Seth Rollins. Then he defeated Jey Uso. Then he and Daniel Bryan defeated Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. And then he defeated Seth Rollins on SmackDown. That's it. It was that easy, that quick. And it was in a span, he lost once. And it was in a multi-man match, where anything could have happened. And he still had a standout performance. He still knocked it out of the park.
Yep. And again, he'll lose this weekend to Roman Reigns. He will. But that not, if we continue building this trajectory that he's been on for the last several months, and again, it's been a decade of him building to this moment, but over the last several months, he's been given a consistent push, at or near the top of the card. And I think that this is going to be, again, huge opportunity for Cesaro. Huge. I can't stress enough how huge of an opportunity this is. And I'm sure that he knows this. So it's like, he understands what this means. But I think that he's the kind of guy that under this storyline, I think that this is the best opportunity that he's had in WWE to get over, like truly get over as a single star. And my genuine hope is that for him is that at the end of this, of course, is he going to be the champion? No, he won't. But at the end of this is that he's going to be a bona fide star on the SmackDown brand, and that the WWE will have true confidence in him to have him at the top of the card on a more consistent basis. That's really the hope at the end of this for Cesaro.
If he has a great showing against Roman, who says that he can't go, I'm sure they're going to do a draft very soon. And
move
who
him
says
over.
he can't go to Raw and do the same thing that he just did with Bobby Lashley.
Correct.
He's a perfect opponent for him.
Yep.
And if Bobby's been tearing the house down with Drew. And Cesaro's a little bit of a better worker than Drew.
And well, I mean, and the thing is that yes, although Cesaro size-wise is smaller than both of them, but that doesn't matter. He's got the height to
but he's taller. He's taller than Lashley.
He's got the height I mean,
and he's
listen,
completely shredded, and he's probably stronger than both of them.
who knows? I don't know that. You know, the aesthetics would say no, but I don't know that.
Now, whenever wrestlers, they always ask, because obviously this is wrestlers like to talk about who's strong and who's not as strong as they look.
Whose muscles are real and whose
They
muscles
asked
are for
Mark
show.
Henry. I think they asked Mark Henry who's the strongest guys that ever that you knew they were strong just based on how they grabbed you and moved you around. I think he said Cena, Cesaro, and he might have said, was it Kane? It might have been.
I'm sure that probably Kane is in that.
Kane is in that list because I've heard Kane's name a couple of times. That he would just grab giant men and just have them. Oh, Big Show said Kane. Big Show said that Kane is freaky strong. That he would just grab him and just have him up there like, "Hey, man,
how you doing, buddy?
You want me to put you down?
On your feet or on your back? Let me know."
But yeah, moral of the story is, you book a guy right, you can get him to the promised land, and everyone will buy it.
Correct. But here's the thing. I mean, it's not just the baby face in this scenario, but you gotta have two to tango. And Roman Reigns, again, he's been established as the guy. Again, he came back last year at SummerSlam, and we're talking at this point now 8-9 months later, and he just keeps getting better and better and better. And that's a benefit to all of his opponents, because what ends up happening is that every match that Roman Reigns has is a big match, and every single person that he works with benefits from that, in some way, shape, or form. And Cesaro will be no different.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the matches we have listed. We don't know what else is going to happen, but I guess we'll find out on Sunday.
Absolutely. We'll find out. Tune into the Peacock or the WWE Network if you are in the, outside of the United States. But for us here at the Wrestlebros, follow us, Instagram, the Twitter machine. We are at the Wrestlebros, TheWrestleBros. For Vic, I'm Lou. Deuces.